Good morning. We're coming to the end of the year, and this is our last Power Breakfast interview. And it's befitting that we cut the year with a review of just what transpired yesterday with the last sitting of this year of the National Assembly. We all watched the chaos that erupted on the floor and the fracas that marked the proceedings in the deliberations on the Security Laws Amendment Bill that was acrimoniously passed yesterday. This morning, we have members from the two sides to just give us insights of what transpired and reflections and lessons learned from that event, or that has been described as the worst in Kenya's independence history. Welcome, Member of Parliament for Kieni, Kanini Kega, and Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament, Peter Kaluma. Karibuni. Let me start, and this is going to be short and crisp. Any regrets about what happened yesterday from any of you? Yes, let's start with you, Kanini Kega.
It's actually despicable. It's a disgrace. And at one point, I really felt, am I in the right house? Is this the house that I was actually fighting to be part of? Because what actually happened, I had an opportunity to talk to other members of parliament who have been in that parliament for over 30 years. And they say that never has they ever witnessed such kind of happenings. And in fact, we know that the last parliament, when we had the government of national unity, and of course the country was almost divided into two, they never went to that level. Yesterday was the lowest level, and I think we need to say categorically that as members of parliament, we put our dignity to the lowest level yesterday. Right. And I don't think there is anybody who can claim that they are clean on this. Yes. The blame goes to every one of us. Yesterday, we let down this country. Of course, there are reasons that people you say we did this because of this and that, but absolutely there is no reason as to why we should have gone to that level.
So, from the Jubilee side, regrets of what transpired?
No, okay, I'm saying as the MP for Kieni, yes. What I saw yesterday is totally despicable. It's something that we should not even see anytime in the future.
Right.
I know, of course, we are pushing blames. I know what court did. I was there. It's unfortunate that the previous day we had a session and we had agreed on most of the amendments. I don't know what transpired through the night. Yeah. And
we'll come back to what exactly the preparations to preempt what transpired yesterday.
But basically, it was yesterday. It was one of the darkest days in the history of
Peter Kaluma, your side is the one that you know, was agitating and therefore obstructing the progress of proceedings in the House with whatever the objectives. Any regrets about what measures were taken and the strategies employed and the results of it?
Yeah, it would be wrong to start from the point that we were obstructing proceedings of the House. We were party to the proceedings. Okay. In fact, if you look at the order paper, I had personally, as a member of parliament, several amendments to move, so we were there to proceed. But that is not to excuse what happened. Yesterday, we lost all the goodwill the Kenyan people saw in parliament. You know, people may not understand it, but really, Parliament, at both the National Assembly and the Senate, are, you know, the most powerful organs created by the people of this country. And in terms of the power vested there, yesterday I wanted to apologize to the Kenyan people. We lost Parliament, and in developed democracies, I think Parliament ought to have been dissolved by evening yesterday. I mean, nothing worked.
There is no mechanism. So you misbehaved. The House lost its dignity. The Speaker's the respect or the authority of the Speaker was eroded. So what next? You go away, you come back and resume seats after what transpired, or what are the intermediary measures that can be taken to bring back the integrity of the august House, which became aghast yesterday?
We failed the leadership test. And I wanted to tell the people of Kenya that there is a whole chapter 6 of the Constitution dealing with leadership and integrity. I wouldn't mind if a well-meaning Kenyan, you know, took the proceedings of Parliament, only a tape of which the people of Kenya know, and took it to court. And I wouldn't be surprised if a court of law, you know, just made a decision saying that these people are no longer fit to be there. In fact, that is the way to go for people who believe in good governance. There was no Parliament yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't quite agree with him in the aspect that Parliament should be dissolved, because there are particular characters. Parliament has video CCTV cameras, and I think everything was actually captured. And we have procedures of the house. The house actually envisages a situation whereby maybe all the time we might not be agreeing, and there is the privileges and that privileges committee, which of course will be sitting later in the, I think by early next year. And also we have a blessing in this, guys. We have a long recess. I believe that in this long recess, we will take advantage of it. We will be able to gel as members of parliament. Because yesterday, what was actually exhibited is that we have not gelled as members of parliament. We have not gelled, because we saw members of parliament fighting each other, hitting each other. We saw members of parliament pouring water on the speaker, something that has not been seen before. I don't think there even anywhere in the world. So I think there is that level. There is a very high level of intolerance, and I'm hoping that leaders will come out of this. We will be able to come together as parliament. I'm hoping before we resume parliament, we'll have a retreat of both houses. I mean, of both
the whole assembly. Yes.
Yeah, and but also, I see another hand. I don't understand why the senators, Senator Mudhama, Senator Wetangula, Senator James Olengo, Senator Ongoro, were up in the speaker's gallery directing what was happening down there. So, of course, I saw a leadership gap on the side of court, because they were getting directive from up there. And of course, when they were told by the speaker to leave, ordinarily they would do that. They would oblige. Unfortunately, they refused, and one thing led to another, and they cannot also escape that blame. Yeah,
Kaluma, there were was there a pre-planned? Was there a plan to disrupt the proceedings? Or this just happened that there was no concurrence on the floor? Because Kanini says that there had been meetings previously, the previous day, to try and build consensus around the bill. And amendments had been proposed, including yours. What gave way to this chaos?
Let me give you some background into this matter. And normally, when a bill touching on a matter that is national security comes, you need to, build consensus around, particularly the leadership. There is need for public participation around the issues you want to legislate, because security is a concern to all of us. It is not just to the Jubilee administration. Now, you saw the bill come, public participation denied. You saw instead a rally where there were prayers, I think, for I don't know whether it was for the deputy president or somewhere in Burnt Forest.
Yes, happened in Turbo.
Yes, and all members of parliament are chaperoned to shout one thing: anybody against that bill they have not looked at is a terrorist. You are either with us or against us. Now, I would skip what happened, thereafter. But I can tell you 3 committees of parliament, sat and tried to reconcile, tried to peruse the bill and see what could be done about it. I was one of the members of one of the committees which sat there. And of course, there are a number of issues we agreed upon. There are other issues which were passed by the majority in the committee, necessarily not consensual. Yeah. Yesterday, we had an opportunity to now brief our members from both sides and see whether we could make a do with the bill. But there were telltale signs in the morning. You go around parliament, it was a military zone, police every corner in full riot gear. Your guards cannot escort you to parliament. They have to remain somewhere, outside the gate there. And of course, you enter parliament. You can imagine the presence of police officers was more than the members of parliament within parliament. And there are people we know, CID, NIS, in black suits. People are all over, up to in. Now, we go in, and I'm saying this because it set the tone for what happened yesterday. The speaker takes a whole hour, telling us, if you do this, if you don't do this, you'll be suspended, you'll cease to be a member of parliament. And you're saying, really, does the speaker recognize we are elected leaders of a people? Why is he lecturing us for a whole hour as if we are children? I mean, who cares about legislating if you cannot legislate properly? So the seed of discord was already planted. And then it moves from that lecture. And the country will remember from our side, we proposed on the TJ Kajwang to ask the Speaker to give us adjournment for even 15-20 minutes so that we brief our members. Because we were in the committee, the members are meeting these things in the morning.
Yes.
We wanted to tell them this and this and these issues which were of concern are already dealt with. These others, this is the proposal.
Yes.
And they're asking, you say there are some concessions. Can you explain them? So TJ, as a person sitting in the Speaker's panel, and we thought he had the respect of the Speaker.
Yes.
You know, stands and requests the Speaker to just give us, you know, an interpause of about 15-20 minutes, a very short time, so
yes.
that we brief the members. The Speaker refuses and says people are moving forward. And then there is chaos, there is tension. We are saying, what is the order paper? What are we dealing with?
Yes.
Why is the Speaker so dismissive? And I wanted to tell the Kenyan people that what happened yesterday, more so from the court side, was what we call a situation has become insufferable. We've had the problem with the leadership of the House, we've had the problem with the chair of the House, but it never came up. Now, what hurt us most, and this I think I should tell the Kenyan people, there were senators, they are members of parliament, and somebody like Wetangula is a principal in court. He's a leader of the Ford Kenya party. They are seated up there. The Speaker says, you people, get out. And really, let us not be fooled. Nobody can say, you know, any elected leader has the better wisdom to direct me on what to do. Do you know what happened? It was not left to the sergeant at arms. 4 members of parliament, you know, leave the National Assembly, climb up there.
The gallery.
Yes, the gallery. And they are tearing the shirts of these leaders. They are beating up these people as we watch from down there. I mean, what recourse do you have? This is now total disrespect, and that is where we lost it.
Okay.
That's where we lost it. So I would personally blame it on a failure of leadership, on a failure of the Speaker. And really, I hope we'll reach the level of discussing whether or not there is a bill which was passed.
I'll come to you, Kanini, on that. Do you believe that, okay, the Speaker was acting on his own volition?
No, the Speaker was under dictation.
And did he make the right decisions in his seat?
The Speaker had the greatest moment, what I would personally call the Marindi moment, to be the leader who can take over if the President and the Deputy are not there as the Constitution requires. The Speaker lost it. The Speaker behaved throughout as partial. The Speaker went below. In fact, you saw the people who surrounded him, the Sergeant and the Jubilee MPs, and you know, he sees nothing wrong with that. I personally had amendments. Macaulay, in that environment, how could I move them? And the Speaker...
All right, let me hear, Kanini, from you responding to his analysis of the situation and the build-up to that moment where things just fell apart.
I don't agree with him.
Yes.
So many of the issues that he has raised, he started very well until he said that it's actually the members of parliament who are trying to eject the senators who are up there. Of course, when they were up there, they were guests. They were not members of parliament. And I remember the Speaker ordering the sergeant at arms to order them to get out. They refused. They could not budge. And maybe one thing led to another. But if you go back, on Tuesday, there was a forum at Ufungamano. And I watched it live. And all the principles, the code principles, they read through and said that they had about 10 issues, which of course they were not very comfortable with, from the original amendments.
Yes. Those
issues were actually addressed
the next day.
Yes, the next day, on Wednesday. And of course we had agreement, like 90%. And you can actually confirm that. We had agreement, like 90%. But what transpired between the night of Wednesday is what is in question, because all the court members were in agreement that the amendments are good. In fact, the following day, unfortunately, yesterday, they did not even read through the amendments. Nobody bothered. In fact, they actually teared down the amendments and everything. Yesterday, I don't believe they were also honest. They were not honest. They wanted to prove a certain point. I don't know which point. It's unfortunate that we did not go for the Kamukunji. For me, I thought that we would go for that 15-20 minutes Kamukunji, though I still believe it was a delaying tactic. I don't trust them very, very much. It was still a delaying tactic. And
but why the members have been the committee.
Why am I saying so? It's because, like when we were doing the debate on Nkaiseli,
yes,
when the Speaker, and it was very, very unfortunate that we were not even able to debate Nkaiseli's report. It was passed without us debating. Of course, it was passed the right way. We were unable to debate. But they put us into division twice. The first one was whether the mover should be called to reply.
Yes.
And the second one, which was ridiculous, is whether we adopt the report on Kaiseri. They said no, and we went for division. When we went for division, they had said no first.
Yes.
But when we went for division, all of them
voted for it.
voted yes.
Yes.
So sometimes you see they were not honest in whatever they were doing.
Yeah. There was payback and bargaining.
It was really a terrible day. Unfortunately, they cannot escape the blame. Because if you link this one with the Tuesday's occurrence at Ufungamano, when Senator Muthama said that Kenyans should block all the roads leading to Parliament.
Yes.
When they say that Parliament should be barricaded.
Yes, occupy Parliament. Let me ask you, with respect to how the Speaker handled the House, the proceedings, the chaos, the disputes, what would you say about his management of leadership of that particular House at that moment?
The situation yesterday was unique. And in fact, you remember it started with the Deputy Speaker, who was the chair of the committee of the whole House. And that is where the problem started. That is where water was poured on her and everything went haywire. Unfortunately, the situation was not handled very well. I can say the leadership, and when I say the leadership, it's not just the Speaker, it's the leadership of the House. From the Speaker, majority, the leadership of the majority leader, and the leadership of the minority party.
Yes.
Yesterday, they failed us. Because when they saw the situation as it were, they should have at least retreated and given us a way forward. But at the same time, when the Speaker now reorganized and said that we will first of all dispense off with the Nkaiseri case.
Less controversial matters.
Yes, the Nkaiseri, they also had issues with even procedural motion. Yes. You know, procedural motion, which of course ordinarily does not bring a lot of issues.
Yes, but the question I put to him, do you believe the Speaker was acting on his own motion, on his own will? Because he seemed to be arrested in a deadline that was invisible. The bill had to be passed yesterday. Did it have to be passed yesterday, given the fracas and the environment with which it was being deliberated?
Makali, I buried 20 people from my constituency through terrorist attacks. These are very difficult times. And of course, we had to, you remember Olelenku was sacked. Kemayo resigned. These are very unique times. We needed laws. And of course, they were saying, the laws that we have at the moment will not, even if we have in Kaiseli, and we don't even give him the laws to govern, definitely we have issues. We are heading for recess. From next week, we are in the festive season. So I believe that the Speaker acted the way he should have acted. Maybe he should have done more, but I believe with the circumstances we had yesterday, I believe he did his best. And I think he was acting on his own volition, because he as a Speaker, he is supposed to be bipartisan. I mean, he is not partisan at all. And I think even from the deliberations that we have had, even in the past, you have seen that he has presided over very controversial issues, and he has given directives. So, I mean, individual directives. I don't see anything unique yesterday. Like you were saying, that the Speaker said that it is his bill. The Speaker has no bill. So it is not right that the Speaker could have said that it is bill. The Speaker doesn't have any bill. In fact, he doesn't have a vote. So it is wrong for Kaluma to say that.
Unless he said it. Did he?
I don't think he can say that.
Why are you thinking when I'm telling you he said it was?
Well, okay, it has happened. The bill has been passed, so to speak. Is that the end? Is this now accepted? That is behind us. We move forward. We try to the president to assent to the law. That is the next phase, right?
That would be the next phase if the bill was passed.
Well, but it was passed.
We must.
It was passed. We still want to interrogate how it was passed, or whether it was properly passed.
Defines whether there was a bill. The bill we had yesterday, and if you look at the clips, and let me tell the Kenyan people, what you have is a tape of what happened.
It's 10% of what transpired.
10%. The bill was passed by Sergeant Atamsa, you know, shouting, I am voting there. You know, in terms of our standing orders, and this is very crucial, when you are transacting parliamentary business, everybody sits down, save for the person speaking. So that if, for instance, Kaluma was moving amendments which were, I was moving, if there is disagreement in terms of ayes and nays, we go for division. How do you call division? By at least 20 of you standing. In a situation where everybody is standing, where a speaker is sandwiched between sergeants and you know, a party to a coalition, I mean, what parliament was proceeding? I wanted to request, you know, the president of the country that really the thing did not move right. If it were the previous presidents I saw, all members of parliament would have been called on this sensitive matter to State House, even in the morning yesterday, because tension was already there before.
Already palpable, yes.
But there is a leadership opportunity for the president to say that there are issues, security is for all of us. What were these which caused our parliament to degenerate to that level? If not, then I can tell you the full recordings of what happened. We'll find their ways in court. And I can tell my brother, a judge will not wait to reach even the substance of that thing. The thing was a null process. There is no bill waiting.
Kanini, you say the bill was passed.
Yes.
In your honest opinion and assessment, the process was followed. The bill is clean. The president should assent to it.
Absolutely. I'm hoping that he's going to assent to it. If there are any issues, of course, they are going to be addressed in due course. If any person feels aggrieved, of course, they will follow the due process, like going to court and all that. But I believe that going forward, we need to build consensus. We need, and especially as leaders, we need to sit down. I'm hoping very soon we will be convening a session whereby from the both political divide, not just even the houses now, the both political divide.
Before you come to that consensus, so is anyone, okay, do we have sort of a final bill of the laws that were passed or the amendments that were passed? Is it possible to extract it? Or if you asked a member of parliament
it's a public
what
document.
was passed, is there a record?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a public document. I believe by today morning, because yesterday, I mean, we left at around 7 or so. I believe by today morning, I also have not gotten a copy of it. I'm hoping that by now, or maybe by 10, we'll have the final copy. Because, of course, there are quite a number of amendments that were actually dropped. So I believe by 10, we'll have the final copy. And I believe that the president will assent to it. If there are any issues, they will be addressed.
It's not likely we'll end up with the amendments which were amended, which are part of the final bill.
No, the Hansard.
So that
the noise
it will be so difficult
that,
to ascertain what, in fact, was the final product of that process.
Despite the noise and everything, there is a Hansard.
The Hansard, which says Amendment 3, Clause 4 was deleted and so forth.
And of course,
yes, before you come in, let him finish.
And of course, the bill will go as per the Hansard. It's not as per the noise that was actually out there. It is as per the Hansard. And you can always challenge if there is any discrepancy between the actual bill and the Hansard.
The accuracy can be checked against the record. Yes, Kaluma.
Makali, you see, what my brother is not telling you is whether he knows what was passed. I can tell the country that nobody knows, including myself. And let me remind my brother that everything was passed, including my amendments, which they do not know. That's hypothetical. But there is a question, of course, you asked, which is, worth revisiting. Did we, conduct ourselves in a manner that would, enable us, say, we behaved well, and did the speaker behave right? Remember I told you that yesterday was just a boiling point. It reached the point where it had to, boil up. But I can tell you, my brother said there is need for consensus. The problem we have in the House are two. The Kenyan people created a presidential system and took parliament out of the executive. One side of parliament, which should be operating as if it is parliament, not the executive, believes it is the executive. And of course, when you come to the House, what they tell you is tyranny of numbers. You saw what happened in Kaiseri. We were not calling division because we wanted division. But you're saying, let us debate. And they're saying, put the question, we vote. We move forward. Like, why are you killing debate? And they tell you we have numbers. The message which I think CORD effectively sent yesterday, that really you may want to exercise what you call your tyranny, but you can only exercise it where there is order. And really, it is a demonstration of the frustrations we've been going through. We've gone in the past through so much frustrations from the speaker's chair. And really, it reached a point yesterday where we were saying, whatever you do, we no longer care, really. And I wanted to beg that, as my brother said, we begin to realize we are a parliament. We can do things as the leadership of the House. In fact, that is why we are called the National Assembly. We are the assembly of the Kenyan people. Can we take leadership? And can the Speaker forget the idea that he was sponsored by one side and really become the Speaker of the House now, respecting the opinions of everybody?
Yeah. Is that moment likely to happen, you were explaining, about this consensus building? Do we see this likely to happen, and whose initiative should it be? Should the President call, a House, or create a session to address it, or perhaps a Kamukunji, or a retreat, Christmas, Happy New Year, let's, we can look at these things again?
Absolutely, I have no doubt in my mind that it's going to happen, because what we witnessed yesterday, the level-headed members of parliament, level-headed.
Were there any in that house who are left level-headed?
They were there. And I.
Yeah. I didn't see you carrying your shoes.
And we were actually cooling people down. In fact, we did a lot of work, and we were making suggestions, of course, on the way forward. And I believe there is a caucus we are working on in a bipartisan way. I know it's going to bear fruit. But I also believe that everybody saw what can happen if people are not together, if the leaders are not together. In fact, if what we saw yesterday, if it cascades down there to our people, you can imagine what
if people took cue what was happening in Parliament and began replicating it out.
Absolutely. In fact, at some point, I thought the called people were doing that basically to try and incite their people down there, because all the time they were communicating. In fact, they were taking photos in the chambers. Of course, it's against the standing order. You're not supposed to take any photo in the when the House is in session, and sending the message across. And in fact, there were at some point there was news that Gong Road is blocked and there is chaos and all that. So I believe that that was not the intention. I believe that's not the narrative they are trying now to justify, that we need dialogue. From when Baba came from abroad. Yes, I believe that's not the kind of dialogue that we are following, and I believe that the members of the National Assembly, first, most importantly, the National Assembly, because I believe that's the house that represents everyone, will have a sitting, an informal sitting, very informal sitting, in form of a retreat. And we will be able to bond. For example, we were saying, in fact, we were making a joke. We play in the Boogie FC. Yes. I mean, there is no way I would.
In fact, that's the whole point.
Anything.
What is the level of solidarity?
We have not gelled. As members of parliament, we have not gelled.
People have always hoped that the younger generation of MPs and leaders like yourselves will offer a fresh face to things. You'll not be partisan. You'll operate outside your, ethnic, confines. There seems to be a problem still in fact, going forward.
In fact, David,
we're not free.
I was shocked that the ladies were more aggressive. they were actually the aggressors. Yes. And I didn't even understand how a lady, a member of parliament, would pour water on another
fellow lady.
I mean, I think that was one of the lowest moments.
It was maybe an expression of betrayal. That you should be with us, not against us.
It's really.
I was actually very shocked myself by that.
But Makali,
yes, Kaluma. We must tie this up.
That we have gelled, really. The problem we have with the National Assembly, and that is why I will tell you, in as much as people did whatever they did, Kanini will not tell you a member of parliament went punching a member of National Assembly. They went punching senators, and of course they met up there. We have quite yelled. The problem we have with the functioning of our parliament is the executive sitting in parliament when the constitution does not allow the executive to sit there.
And sit really there in the form of the majority leader or what?
The majority leader, the speaker, and the dictation coming to members, so that their freedom as members of parliament is totally gone. So what I would request is that the executive should keep away. If we have an issue like a security bill, I mean, let us talk about it. The mere fact that I did not form government, that does not mean really that I have no brain about the solutions to the problems facing this country. And it does not mean that I can merely be opposing for the sake of opposing.
Okay, is there something hidden that you are not saying as code, perhaps about these laws? Is there fear of political repression coming through these laws, or what? Because if laws are supposed to apply across board, across on every citizen, What is it that the other side cannot see that only you are seeing?
Our
Is there
problem,
something, there are
our
cobwebs somewhere?
problem has been insecurity, particularly terrorism. But you also know, Makali, people hide under, public interest to achieve their own intentions. If you look at the entire bill we were presenting as security bill yesterday, really it had nothing to do with terrorism. And I can tell you it was taking back away everything. Now my brother will not tell you. For once, we had this law, Makali, saying NIS officer can arrest you and detain you without saying where is to take you upon arresting you.
Amended.
Without saying
It was now amended.
they can detain you. And of course, when we pushed them in the meeting where I told you, I said it never sat.
Yes.
They agreed to push some of them. But to date, we have a situation where if you go to court, in some of the things they refuse to amend, you go to court, you are convicted for a sentence of 3 years and above. You automatically, at the end of your sentence, become a subject of police supervision.
Yes, the police supervise
and you cannot leave.
3 years, yes.
You cannot leave wherever you reside without the consent, not notification to the nearest police station, but the consent of the police officer in charge of the station. I mean, they are taking your right of movement permanently. Look at the media. Makali, I pass by Ngong Road, and I find the body of JM Karaoke, the Kenyans are being told is out of the country. I cannot take that photo and post it. This is JM. I am grazing at Gotalil and I find the body of Ouko, we are told is in the US. I cannot take it and post it. You post it, you know what happens. The media fine 5 million and above. I mean, these are still retained there. And if you're asking really, are we dealing with a problem of insecurity or we are seeking to achieve ends? No. And I wanted to say that that is where they failed. If they came and said, we want to deal with terrorism and insecurity, we would have told them the problem may not be even in the law. The problem is 1, 2, 3,
in the enforcement of
and
it.
we deal
All
with
right. We have to end this. I'll give you a right of response to those particular remarks, and then we'll tie this down.
Makali, from his submission, it shows you clearly that they refused to read the amendments, the supplementary amendments. And of course, all those contentious issues were deleted. All those contentious, they were deleted.
They were modified.
They were modified. In fact, most of them were deleted.
They were modified. Like the arrest now, the NIS officer hands you over to a police officer.
Which is okay, because the NIS was saying that we gave information of we gave general information. I mean, the police actually complained that the NIS is giving them just general information, and they were unable to act. Now, the NIS, when they get that information, they get a terrorist suspect, they will arrest that person and take him to the nearest. I mean, what is wrong with that? On the issue of taking photos, on the issue, which is okay. I mean, it's absolutely, which is okay. It is actually very good because he brought that amendment. It was accepted. I mean, why were they actually complaining? Because it was part and parcel of the new amended bill. But most importantly, I mean, we have to protect our people, honestly. I was at the airport when the bodies were actually delivered from the Mandera 2. And I remember the media guys were, okay, I had the list of the victims. The victims, and the media people were telling me, please give us the list, we want to publish the names. I told them, honestly, it will not be fair for me to give you the list because the next of kin have not been notified, which of course makes a lot of sense. But the previous day, we had all those photos, honestly, of dead people. My son, who is 7 years, I mean, you can't, I mean, he was asking me, Daddy, what is this? I mean, some of the images that we are getting from the media, and not just the media, from the social media. Yes. I mean, it's we have no human heart. We have no human heart. We have at least to have some law. And I don't think this is punishing. If we follow the due process, I don't think there is anybody whose freedom has been curtailed. The question that I would ask you finally and briefly is, do you feel that there was sufficient public participation in this legislation? Because that seems to have been compromised, and with the bringing of the law and passage in haste, so that there wasn't the broadest participation. And in any case, which format did it take? Apart from presentations made to the Committee of Parliament, were the laws published for public consumption, therefore input, therefore processing, therefore legislation? Yeah, they were put, and in fact, the public was invited for the public participation, which was actually undertaken at the county hall. So anybody who had
in
any issue,
2 days.
yeah, and they were even given an opportunity to give memorandas, written memorandas on that. So I think maybe you'd be talking about the period, but the public was actually given an opportunity to have that participation because it's entrenched in the Constitution.
Yeah.
I believe
it depends
these
on
laws
the
are
scope
good.
of that participation.
All said
That's
and
the
done,
issue.
when
Yeah.
the dust settles,
Yeah.
I think despite what happened, the acrimony that happened yesterday, the laws that we passed yesterday are good, and I believe Kenya will be a better place to live.
Okay. I guess we end it there. Thank you, Kanini Kega-Mp for Kieni and Peter Kaluma-Mp for Homa Bay Town. We're recapping the chaotic passage of the Security Laws Amendment Bill yesterday in the House, now headed to the President for assent to become law. To close our year, and this is the last breakfast interview here on Power Breakfast. We'll see you in the new year. But of course, Power Breakfast continues this morning as we tie it up, and we have the best of the 2014 bands that featured on the Power Breakfast. We're sampling those as well as our a cappella group in the house. Continue watching Power Breakfast.